Hello everyone. So now we are going to start with the chapter 2 of the science one. So that is the periodic classification of the elements. So elements and their classification, then Dobereiner triads, Newland's law of octaves, Mendeleev's periodic law, and modern periodic table. These are all the topics which are we are going to cover in this chapter. So we are having the can you recall section as at the early part of this. So we have asked what are the different types of the matter. So the first question, first of all, we will see all the questions what we have asked in this. So yeah, what are the types of the elements? What are the smallest particles of the matter called? What is the difference between the molecules of the elements and compounds? Is my voice is audible? Yes. So what are the types of the matter? This is the question which is asked. So basically तो समझ लेते हैं सबसे पहले कि ये मैटर क्या होता है. As we have studied about the matter in the lower classes. So matter is anything which has the mass and occupies space. So suppose I am having any object with me as a book, pen, pencil, and all. So all these objects have a particular mass. We can take any example of the all the objects and all that are present. Means we can consider both the living and the non-living things that they are having some mass and they occupy some space on this earth. So we can classify them as the matter. So we have asked what are the types of the matter as we have studied that there are the various different types of the matter as solid, liquids and gases. These are all the different types of the matter which are present in all around us. So solid in which the particles are tightly packed. Then we have the liquid in which the molecules are loosely packed as compared with the solids. And gases are having the molecules which are freely to move. So these are all which we have studied about the matter and all its types in the lower classes. तो आगे ये पहले क्वेश्चन का आंसर हो गया. तो आगे हमें क्वेश्चन पूछा गया है व्हाट आर द टाइप्स ऑफ द एलिमेंट्स. सो व्हाट इज द एलिमेंट. सो एलिमेंट आर the we can say that kinds of the matter in which the substituents are made up of the single kinds of the atom. मतलब जो ऐसा मैटर जिसमें सारे जो उसके पार्टिकल्स है जो उसके एटम्स है वो एक ही काइंड के इसके होंगे, similar होंगे. What are the smallest particles of the matter called? So the smallest particle of the matter is called, we can call it as the atom. What is the difference between the molecules of the elements and the compounds? So molecules are the smallest element of the compound and atom is the smallest particle of the matter. So what is compound? As we have studied about that element, compounds and mixtures. So compounds, when two or more substances combine chemically in a fixed proportion, the compound is formed. This is the definition which we have studied in the lower classes. So the fixed proportion, here the focus we should have to give at the fixed proportion part. So basically, the compounds are having the fixed proportion, and in the mixture, that the it is means having the both the same definition that when two or more substances combine chemically in any proportion, then mixture is formed, and in the fixed proportion, a compound is formed. As we have seen that the formation of the H2O in our lower classes, in which as we can see that H2, that means the hydrogen 2 molecules and oxygen 1 molecule when get combines in a fixed proportion, then this compound that is the H2O is forming. So as we have seen that H2O for the formation of the H2O, we have to take hydrogen 2 molecules and oxygen 1 molecule as this is the balanced one. So here we can see that hydrogen 2 molecules and oxygen 1 molecules when combines chemically and in the fixed proportion, then these compounds are formed. But when we take the mixture, suppose we take the mixture of the, suppose we are taking example of the bell. So we are taking the various different murmuras and all, and we are combined it in the any proportion. So we are calling that as the mixture. But in the compound, the ratio of the constituent of the elements. So here we can take that the hydrogen is one element, oxygen is one element, and when get combined together in the fixed proportion, this compound is formed. So we have asked here that what is the difference between this? That means what is the difference between the molecules of the elements and the compounds? So that we all these are going to see in the chapter periodic classification of the elements. So let's get started. Classification of element. We have learned in the previous standard that all the atoms of an element are of only one type. Today, 118 elements are known. This is to important, and this is to underline to the scientific world. However, around year 1800 only about 30 elements were known. Means at the era of the 1800, today we have known 118 elements. तो आज हमें 118 एलिमेंट्स जो कि साइंटिफिक वर्ल्ड में प्रेजेंट है तो हमें वो नोन है. लेकिन at the time of the 1800 only the 30 elements were known. More number of elements were discovered in the course of time. More and more information about the properties of this element was gathered. Two is the study of of such a large number of the elements. Scientists started studying the pattern, if any, in the vast information about them. You know that in the initial classification, elements were classified into the group of the metals and non-metal. Again, यहाँ पर एक concept आती है, what are these metals and non-metals? For this also we have studied in the class 8 about the metals and non-metals. We are having one separate chapter. But let's apart that we will also going to see about the metals and non-metals in the further part. Later on, another class of the elements called as the metalloids was noticed. So metal, non-metals and metalloids are these all three the very important. As the knowledge about the elements and their properties went on increasing, different scientists started trying out different methods of classification. मतलब यानी कि जैसे जैसे जो एलिमेंट्स की जो तलाश थी, जो खोज थी, वो जैसे जैसे आगे बढ़ती चली गई, सो एलिमेंट्स साइंटिस्ट स्टार्टेड फाइंडिंग आउट द डिफरेंट मेथड्स ऑफ द क्लासिफिकेशन फॉर दिस एलिमेंट्स. तो ये जो 118 एलिमेंट्स जो मिले, तो इनको एक प्रॉपर फॉर्मेट में ऑर्गेनाइज करना, इनको सिमिलर प्रॉपर्टीज, इनके सिमिलर प्रॉपर्टीज, उनकी फिजिकल प्रॉपर्टीज, इन सारी चीजों की स्टडी करके उनको एक प्रॉपर क्लासिफाई करना, दैट वाज अ चैलेंजिंग पार्ट एट द टाइम्स ऑफ द 1800. तो 1800 के टाइम पे तो सिर्फ 30 एलिमेंट्स नोन थे, और आज के टाइम पे 118 एलिमेंट्स आर नोन, जो कि हम देखते हैं जो पीरियोडिक टेबल में. So, they were trying to find out the different methods of the classification. तो चलिए देखते हैं what classification methods they have find. So first we are having the Dobereiner triad. So in the year 1817, a German scientist Dobereiner suggested that properties of the elements are related to their atomic masses. तो जैसा कि हम बोल रहे थे यहाँ पर कि वो सोच रहे थे कि इन एलिमेंट्स को क्लासिफाई कैसे किया जाए. तो एट द टाइम ऑफ द 1817 अ जर्मन साइंटिस्ट डोबेराइनर, तो डोबेराइनर ने क्या बोला कि चलो इनको एटॉमिक मासेस के हिसाब से अरेंज करके देखते हैं. ही मेड द ग्रुप ऑफ द थ्री एलिमेंट्स ईच हैविंग सिमिलर केमिकल प्रॉपर्टीज एंड कॉल्ड देम एज द ट्रायड. मतलब उन्होंने तीन तीन के ग्रुप बनाए ऑन द बेसिस ऑफ द एटॉमिक मासेस as the chemical property and group them into the three elements, and he called them as the triad. तो आगे देखते हैं. He arranged these three elements in a triad in an increasing order of their atomic masses and showed that the atomic mass of the middle element was approximately equal to the mean of the atomic masses of the other two elements. However, all the known elements could not be classified into the Dobereiner triad. तो उन्होंने क्या किया कि तीन तीन एलिमेंट्स के ग्रुप्स बनाए, उनको जिसको उन्होंने ट्रायड बोला. और उन्होंने क्या किया कि इंक्रीजिंग ऑर्डर में जो एटॉमिक मासेस है वो लिए, और दो जो एक्सट्रीम एलिमेंट्स है तो उनका सम किया, उनका मीन लिया, और मीन लेके उन्होंने देखा कि क्या वो जो मिडल एलिमेंट है उससे उसके जो एटॉमिक मास है तो क्या उससे मैच करता है. तो इसके हिसाब से उन्होंने तीन तीन एलिमेंट के क्लासिफिकेशन किए. बट एक ड्रॉबैक हो गया कि वो सारे जो एलिमेंट्स थे तो वो क्लासिफाई नहीं कर पाए. but he has helped in the part for the classification of the elements a lot. So यहाँ पर एक टेबल दिया है जिसमें हम यहाँ पर देख सकते हैं कि लिथियम सोडियम एंड पोटेशियम का एक ट्रायड बनाया गया है। एलिमेंट वन लिथियम जो कि उसका एटॉमिक मास 6.9 है, और एलिमेंट टू मीन, एज वी ऑल नो दैट वी कैलकुलेट द मीन बाय a plus c by 2, that means the we are taking the mean of the extreme two elements, that is we are taking the 6.9 and 39.1, that is the potassium। मतलब लिथियम और पोटेशियम इन दोनों दोनों के एटॉमिक मासेस का मीन लेके मीन लिया, तो वो 23 आया। एंड सोडियम एज ही इंक्लूडेड इन द ट्रायड, दैट इज द सोडियम इज हैविंग द एटॉमिक मास ऑफ द 23। हियर वी कैन सी दैट, तो सोडियम जो Na है, तो Na यानी natrium, so sodium is having its scientific name as the natrium, so because of that sodium we denote it as the symbol Na। So further is taken one another one triad, that is the calcium, strontium, and barium, and found out that again with the same that taken the mean of the calcium and the barium, and find out that the strontium is having the mean, that is the 88.7, after taking the mean and actual mass of the strontium was atomic mass having the 87.6. So he found out that strontium will be included in the group of the triad. So he made the triad of calcium, strontium, and barium. Next, taken the triad as the chlorine, bromine, and iodine. So chlorine having the atomic mass of 35.5, iodine having the atomic mass of 126.9. After taking the mean, so bromine atomic mass gets calculated as 81.2, but bromine actual atomic mass was have to be 79.9. So this method having the atomic masses as the nearby to its mean, which was calculated by the Dobereiner. So here we are having one another one question. Identify the Dobereiner triad for the following groups of the elements having the similar chemical properties. So that all we have to do. We have to take the mean of the extreme large two elements, and we have to check whether the extreme large two elements mean gets matched with the mean of the middle element, that atomic mass of the middle element. So this we can perform. Next, Newland's law of octaves. The English scientist John Newland correlated the atomic masses of the elements to their properties in a different way. In the year 1866, Newland arranged the elements known at that time in an increasing order of their atomic masses. So, as the Dobereiner also considered atomic mass as the property for the classification of the elements, Newland also tried to do with the same part, as he also considered the atomic mass for the classification of elements also. And in the year 1866, and Dobereiner has performed the classification in 1817. So it started with the lightest element hydrogen and ended up with the thorium. As atomic mass of we all know that atomic mass of the hydrogen is smallest in whole periodic table, and thorium with the largest atomic mass. He found out that every eighth element had the properties similar to those of the first, as the name suggests, the octaves. So he made the group of the eight elements. As we have seen that in the Dobereiner have made the group of the three elements and called them as the triad. But Newland here made the group of the eight elements because he observed that every eighth element was showing the property similar to those of the first. So for example, sodium is the eighth element from the lithium and both have the similar properties. Also, magnesium shows the similarity to the beryllium and chlorine shows the similarity with the fluorine. Newlands compared this similarity with the octaves in the music. He called similarity observed in the eighth and the first element as the law of octaves. तो यहाँ पर एक देखने की बात है कि न्यूलैंड ने जो ऑब्जर्व किया कि जो एवरी एट्थ एलिमेंट है, तो वो प्रॉपर्टी सिमिलर शो कर रहा है फर्स्ट एलिमेंट के साथ। So he tried to make the classification according to that eighth element eight octet rule. So we are having one part in the do you know? In the Indian music system, there are the seven main notes, namely sa, re, ga, ma, pa, dha, ni, and their collection is called as the saptak. The frequency of the notes goes on increasing from the sa to ni, then comes to sa of the upper saptak at the double frequency of the original sa. It means that the notes repeat after the completion of the one saptak. The seven notes in the Western music are do, re, mi, fa, so, la, ti. The note do having the double the original frequency comes again at the eighth place. This is the octave of the Western notes. Music is created by the variety in use of these notes. सो न्यूलैंड का हम बोल सकते हैं कि उन्होंने जो हमारे इंडियन म्यूजिक सिस्टम है तो उसमें जो सा रे ग म प ध नी और जो वापस सा आता है जिसकी फ्रीक्वेंसी पहले वाले सा से डबल होती है so as we are seeing that the sa gets repeat at the eighth interval that means the first and the eighth part having the similarity. So, in the Western culture, we see that the saptak is do, re, mi, fa, so, la, ti. So here also, according to that Western culture, so he classified that according to that that do is showing the similar frequency as having the starting. So according to that, he classified the element. Many limitation was found in the Newlands octaves. This law was found to be applicable only up to the calcium. This is the important as some many times it gets asked in the exam about the fill in the blanks that the Newlands law was octet was applicable up to the element that is the calcium. As we know that calcium is having the 20 as the atomic number in the periodic table. So Newland fitted all the known elements in the table of the 7 by 8, that is the 56 boxes. So he able to classify the 56 elements of the periodic table. So Newland placed two elements in such in some boxes to accommodate all the known elements in the table. So as we can see in the chart given here that cobalt and nickel are placed in the same box. Then cesium and lanthanum are placed in the same box. As he could not be able to classify as whether they belong to this same category box as he studied the chemical properties of the two elements and classified them and put them in the same box. So this was the limitation of the Newland's law of octave. Moreover, he placed some elements with different properties under the same note in the octave. For example, Newlands placed the metals cobalt and nickel under the do along with the halogens, while iron having similarity with the cobalt and nickel away from them with the non-metals oxygen and sulfur under the note of the also, Newland's octaves did not have the provision to accommodate the newly discovered elements. और हम यहाँ पर देख सकते हैं कि जो 56 एलिमेंट्स जो न्यूलैंड ने अपने इस टेबल में क्लासिफाई किए as per the rule of the law of octave, so he could not able to having the place to accommodate the new discovered elements in his periodic table. So the properties of the new elements discovered later on did not fit in the Newland's law of octaves, and due to this, the new elements which discovered later could not have the place to fit in the Newland's table of classification of the elements. So this was also one of the drawback of the Newland's law of octaves.